Miriam Naiman. I work in the Answers and Advocacy Department at Nefesh B'Nefesh. I'm even going to update my name here. And I am joined today by two of my co-workers, Liz Bernstein and Tippi Oppenheimer. And we are just part of a larger team who are available by phone Sunday through Thursday from 9 to 3 at star 3680 or by email at any time at answers@nbn.org.il. Tippi, for those of you who have made Aliyah in the past 12 months, is the one who sends you all of those monthly emails that you might get reminding you about different benefits, about Bituach Leumi, and so forth. We all have our responsibilities within the team, and we all have our specialties. I met with somebody recently in a different city who said, well, I don't have questions about my Arnona or my healthcare, but we're having trouble with a certain issue. And I didn't think to turn to Nefesh B'Nefesh, but maybe you can help. And because between all of us, we have our professional connections and we have our personal connections, you might be surprised between the need that you may have and the solution that we may be able to help you find. And it's something that we pride ourselves on helping you find those solutions and solving those issues. What we always ask is don't wait till you're just past the point of frustration. Call us, say, I heard this, or I'm trying to figure this out. Am I doing the right things? Is there something more that I can do? And we're really here to assist you. So today's open forum on senior benefits in Israel really comes from an event that we had in our Jerusalem campus some time ago, where we offered people to come in, get their senior card printed, and hear a little bit more about benefits for Yerushalmi, for those people living in Jerusalem. I have now globalized this, so it's less Jerusalem-centric. And although many of you are from the city of Yerushalayim, there are certainly many of you who are not. We're going to try to keep it as global as possible. We have so many different types of open forums. This is just one we've had on driver's license and passports and car licensing, driver's license and Bituach Leumi and healthcare, and so many that you can find on our YouTube channel. I'd like to please ask that all questions are saved until the end. If you don't have a pad of paper, get one now so that you don't forget your question. But we are now quite a large group, nearing 100, and it really will be too disruptive for questions here, questions there. Not only disruptive in terms of the flow of conversation, but you may be surprised of the information just coming around the corner that really is the answer to the question that you were going to ask already. And so many times when we're focused on answering questions in the chat, we miss the information that's actually being shared. Now, I have here a list of different items, different concepts that people wrote in about that they'd like to hear more about, whether it's Arnona discounts as Olim, Arnona discount for seniors, housing opportunities, Bituach Leumi, passports, a Jerusalem residence card, a Rav-Kav, a handicap placard for the car, dental benefits for seniors, updating addresses, traveling abroad, and employment. And there were several more, but these are the core that kept repeating themselves over and over again. I hope that we're going to be able to touch on all of these subjects today. I'm happy to say that they were already incorporated into today's presentation, even before your email came in. So really, let's begin. Of course, one of the most prevalent questions that came in was, how do I really get a senior card? What is a senior card? A senior card is something today that's only digital. It is no longer a physical card and must be downloaded and taken care of all on a smartphone. Not only is it only taken care of on a phone, but it has to be your phone. So if you are married and you are the only person, there's only one phone between you, then only one of you will be able to get that senior card. And now you're saying to yourself, wow, that is really not fair. That is really not beseder. And I can't disagree with you. But for now, that is in fact the way it is. Yes, we have called the Senior Citizens Division and said, but what about when somebody has only one phone per couple? And they were like, ein davar kazeh. And we're like, yes, there is. I'm going to skip ahead because I have here now a silton, a small clip on how to download your senior card. Now, like I said, this is going to be sent to you. And so there's no reason for you to write it down or, take notes more than a couple of reminders perhaps for yourself, but you will have it in your inbox before Sunday. I can't promise you within a minute, but by Sunday, you should have it in your inbox. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to look for the app on your phone, whether you have an Android sorry, 1 second. 1 minute, I'm going to stop it and I'm going to start again. Regardless of what kind of phone, you're going to look for the app. Second thing you're going to do, technical difficulties, sorry. Second thing you're going to do is be patient with technical things. Download the app. That's step number 1. Step number 2, depends what kind of phone you have. All right, I'm going to stop this a second so that everybody has a chance to read, because once it's downloaded, you're going to be given a few slides to tell you what to expect and what to see. Okay, so you see that blue button where it says press here, press to continue. You're going to press that and it will continue through those slides. Okay, you're just going to hit click, click, click. Now you've reached a bunch of options. The option that you want is the white square on the top right. You see the arrow there. And that is lahanpik, to issue a teudat ezrach vatik, a senior card. All right, now you'll be asked for a couple of pieces of information: your telephone number, your Teudat Zehut number, and the year of your birth. I wanted to test it, and I was born in 1962, and I'm too young for a senior card, and so it told me that I'm not eligible. Very important to remember to hit the small square, right? That you've read everything that you're asked for. Here's for your Teudat Zehut, the year of your birth, and that you click OK, that you agree to the conditions. 1 second, I'm going to stop it again. After you hit next, you will be sent a code on your phone, and you're going to enter the code. You must hit Lishlav Haba, next step, like submit, submit, submit. All right, additional information, your email address, and why are you asking for an issuance of this certificate. The reason that you're interested is the first box. You would like to be able to receive your first senior card. No. I can do this. Yes, I can. Here we go. Everybody gets frustrated with technology. Never think it's just you. All right, why are you applying? And that you are interested in receiving a hard copy. Click on the next button to continue. You then need to scan your Teudat Zehut. All right, it's telling you make sure your documents are sufficient and clear. You scan the front of the card and then wait for the green light. Then you're going to scan the back of the card. Wait for the green light. Then it's going to take your picture. Okay, you can either rescan it or continue. Okay. Make sure that the details are correct, your name, your Teudat Zehut number, click next. And voila, you have your digitized senior card. I have to give a big shout out to somebody on our team who was the one who put this all together for us today, so that I didn't have to just say the words and you wouldn't have a good visual to help you. So a big shout out to our Bat Sherut, Noah Popper, who was able to make this happen. It did go a little bit quickly, and you're going to get it in the recording. So not to worry if you feel that you missed something. Why do you need a senior card? What is it good for? Well, it's good for proof that, in fact, you are eligible when going into recreational settings like a museum or the movies. And yes, your Teudat Zehut has your birth date on it, but people also want to see this card. Not always. You can always try with just your Teudat Zehut, but very, very often. It's not necessarily used to get a discount somewhere, but rather to get a discount anywhere, only where discounts for seniors or students are appropriate, just like a student would have a student card. We're going to discuss about Arnona and utilities. So a senior, who is a senior, by the way? If you have not yet attended any of our webinars, a senior for a man is somebody who is 67. For a woman, it depends on the year of your birth. This was just updated on January 1st, 2023. For those of you who were born before 1961, that year of retirement is 62 years old. If you were born in 1961, it's 62 and a little bit. If you were born in 62, it's 63 years of age, and onwards up until the age of 65. You can find a table with the years of retirement based on birth dates on the Bituach Leumi website. And remember, all of this information is going to be sent to you in a very organized email. So no need to be worried that you're either not catching a word or not remembering where you can find this information. For those of you who are still getting your Oleh Chadash Arnona discount, if that's something that you were eligible for, you cannot apply for a senior discount at the same time. There's no double dipping. However, once you finish with the time frame of your Oleh discount, you can then apply for a senior discount based on your income. Or if for whatever reason, and we're going to talk about this further down the line about pensions, but if you were found eligible for a welfare-based senior pension, then you may also be entitled to an Arnona discount. If you are receiving pension monies from the Bituach Leumi, from the National Insurance Institute, you are going to be entitled to a 25% discount as a senior citizen. If you are not entitled to that pension, you can still apply for a 30% discount as you go through an income test. What is this income test? This income test looks at your passive worldwide income, focusing mostly on things like Social Security, or do you have places of residence abroad? Do you have income from any type of rental in Israel or abroad? It's important to be truthful with the questions that you are being asked. There is a cap on that income ceiling, whether you are a single or you are a couple. That cap is dependent on your municipality. You can look at your municipality website. Many of the municipalities have their websites in English, or you can ask us and we'll find the information for you. Just to give an example, in Jerusalem, that income is fairly high at a little over 11,000 shekel monthly, and for a couple over 17,000 shekel monthly, from whatever questions are asked in terms of your passive income. If you are unsure ever of how to apply for any type of discount or any type of benefit, call us so that not only we can explain all of what's being asked for in the application, but moreover, we can explain any consequences that may be incurred when applying for said benefit. Not all utilities are going to offer you a senior discount. There may be a discount on water, there may be a discount on electricity, and there may be a discount on heating if you meet the criteria, because for these, there are very specific criteria. Some of that criteria has to do with disability. pension, and you have certain benefits that are in addition to that pension money, such as discounts on certain utilities, and that can carry over into the senior years. But these types of things are very, very individual. And so should this apply to you, I encourage you to please reach out so that we can look at each and every person's story and situation individually. We did mention about entertainment. There's something on the radio called Shli B'Shleikas. Shleikas are suspenders. And on Tuesday, very often you have senior discount day at the movies or at different places.
Can I just add something as a very excited newly senior citizen? And I went to a movie with my grandkids the other night, and the cashier very nicely said to me, you know, on Tuesdays, if you come, it costs 10 shekel. That was at the movie theater in Cinema City. I said, what time? He said, anytime during the day, anytime on Tuesday, every movie is 10 shekel. That is the best thing about being a senior citizen. Now be quiet.
Through Bituach Leumi, a senior citizen over the age of 72 is entitled to free dental cleaning through their Kupat Cholim dental clinic. Doesn't mean free fillings or free implants or that type of dental care, but it does mean maintenance care, hygienic care, but only through the Kupat Cholim dental clinic. Holocaust survivors have other benefits available to them. A wonderful resource for Holocaust survivors is something called K-Shoah. This is a resource with a website and email address that will be coming your way when the email is sent with today's recording. And we're trying to get to the next one. Here we go. So Bituach Leumi. Lots of you wrote in asking about Bituach Leumi to please discuss what's the difference between Bituach Leumi and my Kupat Cholim, my healthcare provider. Why do I pay Bituach Leumi? If I pay Bituach Leumi, what do I get from Bituach Leumi? And so many other questions. First and foremost, I would like to share with you that there are 2 Bituach Leumi webinars found on our website either on our website or through the YouTube channel on Bituach Leumi. One is very general, explaining all about Bituach Leumi and residency and why one pays Bituach Leumi. And the other reviews some of those things, but is also very senior specific. Because this is not a Bituach Leumi webinar or seminar, I'm going to touch on some of the highlights that are mentioned in that particular webinar. And then you can, at your leisure, look at the YouTube, watch the webinar, and then please feel free to call in or write in with any further questions. So the first question people want to know is, what is Bituach Leumi? Bituach Leumi is the National Insurance Institute responsible for all pensions and insurances for all Israeli residents in the country. Who is a resident? A person whose center of life is in Israel, physical center of life is in Israel, which is often quantified by the number 183 days in the country. When does residency begin? When you become a resident, when you become a citizen. And that is the marker date of when your residency is looked at. I see a lot of things coming in the chat. I hope that there are not too many questions. Please have a listen before your questions. I promise to touch on all of the important highlights. Then, like I said, the webinar will be sent to you directly so that you can look at it at your leisure. Everyone in the country is responsible for Bituach Leumi from the age of 18 to 120. How that contribution is facilitated may come through employment, may come if somebody is in the army, may come if somebody receives a pension, money towards the healthcare contribution, and if they are under the age of retirement for general contribution, will be adjusted from the pension that they are receiving. Bituach Leumi, the national insurance, covers everything in the country from birth and everything in between. Bituach Leumi is also the national insurance responsible for your ability to be part of the healthcare provider that you have chosen, whether you chose Maccabi or Meuchedet, Klalit, or Leumit. When you registered for Kupat Cholim, whether you registered at the airport or if you changed your status in Israel and you registered at the post office, you received a paper with the Bituach Leumi logo because they are the ones responsible for you being able to have health care. And that is why at some point within your first year, depending on who you are, whether that's after 6 months, whether that's after 1 year, unless you are working, you will begin to pay a healthcare contribution to the Bituach Leumi, which enables you to be part of your Kupat Cholim system. When somebody becomes in arrears with these payments to Bituach Leumi, they lose their ability to be part of the Kupa and they are kicked off the system until they are put back on the system. And even in 2023, although we have made great strides in educating people about Bituach Leumi, whether that's before Aliyah and certainly after Aliyah. I mentioned earlier about the monthly emails that are sent out, and month 4 email has to do with Bituach Leumi, the ins and outs of it. But even so, there are people who take perhaps that letter and put it on the side, and they take another letter and put it on the side. And that might repeat itself for a while until one day they go to their Kupat Cholim and they're not in the system. There's a block. There's a block in their file, and they are not able to access the medical care. Now, this doesn't happen after one time of missing a payment or 2 times. I'm talking about many months of being in arrears for your payments. But that is not something I'd like to encourage you to get into. And therefore, you can also set up automatic payments either through your bank or a credit card. It can even often be a foreign credit card through the Bituach Leumi site. We have wonderful guides on how to set up various online personal portals of various government websites. The Bituach Leumi is very clear. It's in English and it leads you as a guide. If you're unable to do so, just call us and we're happy either ourselves or to have a volunteer give you a call and help set this up on your behalf. And this way you can set up a Horat Keva, an automated withdrawal, either through your bank or through your credit card. And so then you don't really have to think about the monthly payments that you are responsible for. Bituach Leumi also covers elder care. There is elder care offered either through your Kupat Cholim, if you have that tier of privatized insurance, through your private insurance agent, or through the Bituach Leumi. The elder care law, as it's called, is meant to be able to provide hours of elder care for all. However, once again, there is a ceiling, a monetary test for all Israelis. It has nothing to do with being an Oleh Chadash. And so when someone is a single, that threshold is a little over 11,000 shekel of passive worldwide monthly income. Now you may be saying, what about my 401k and what about this and what about that? It's always important to just answer the questions that are being asked of you on that application and nothing more. As North Americans, we are very prone to giving a brain dump of information, and that's not always in your best interest. What elder care through Bituach Leumi offers you, if you are eligible, is a variety of services. You can find that information laid out in English very clearly on the Bituach Leumi website. It ranges from being paid if you are a family member taking care of someone, or receiving hours of care through the Bituach Leumi. When you are receiving hours of care for a caregiver, that means not a family member, that means that you choose the caregiver. You reach one of the different agencies that exist in the country, of which there are many, and they will even help you fill out the appropriate forms to get that caregiver. You will then be awarded a certain amount of hours based on assessment. Depending on the age of the individual, a nurse will come and physically assess an individual, Or if a person is over a certain age, it depends on the city. Sometimes it's 90 and over, sometimes it's 85 and over, depends on the city. Then a letter from a gerontologist is enough to be able to prove as to why this need exists and how the individual needs as many hours as possible from the Bituach Leumi. When applying for a 24/6, we don't have 24/7, but when applying for a 24/6-hour care, that process is different. There is often subsidy available through the Bituach Leumi, again, based on a monetary test. But just to give you the higher number, where there is no Bituach Leumi subsidy available for 24-hour care, a person can expect to pay between 9,500 shekel monthly and 10,000 shekel monthly for their foreign caregiver. Hours of care are provided by somebody with Israeli citizenship, and 24-hour care is provided by a foreign care worker. For more information, please write to us, and we're happy to address your need personally. But what about a pension? I arrived in Israel, and am I due a pension? If you made Aliyah over the age of 62, the pension that you are eligible for is a welfare-based pension. In Hebrew, it's called a kitzba zikna miyuchedet. The word miyuchedet comes from the word miyuchad, which is special, and that is because it is assumed that you have a pension from abroad, which is helping you maintain yourself here. Now, remember, if you don't ask for money from them, they're not going to ask too many questions from you. And all you'll continue to pay for that healthcare contribution is 112 shekel monthly. Once you apply for this pension and you shared your income, one of two things may happen. You may be eligible for the pension. If you are a single individual, the threshold for that is 4,000 shekel monthly. That means that if your Social Security income is beyond 4,000 shekel monthly, you will not be eligible for this special pension. If you are a couple and your combined income, even if one spouse has zero and the other has all the Social Security, if your combined income is just a little over 6,000 shekel monthly, then you will not be eligible. However, if you've applied anyway, although when we send out that email, we write in red, this is going to come to your home because very often the pension application comes to your home automatically with all of your personal details filled in. And you're like, well, they got my name. I must have to fill this out. And stop and call us and say, is this something that I should fill out? I get $3,000 a month in my Social Security. And then I would have the opportunity to say, you can shred that up and put it in the garbage because you won't be eligible. But you didn't call us and you filled it out anyway, and you filled out all the information. And now Bituach Leumi saw that you have an income of $3,000 a month, the equivalent in shekel a month. You will no longer be charged only 112 shekel a month for that healthcare contribution. You will be charged more based on your income. Now, the more that you will be charged never goes too much above 250, 290 shekel monthly, but that is still a big difference from 112 shekel. And so you want to stop and get all the information that you can about pensions in Israel prior to filling out any type of form or any type of application. If you made Aliyah between the age of 60 and 62, that happens to be a gray area, no matter where you made Aliyah from. And that's something to talk about on a one-on-one basis. If you made Aliyah and were able to pay in 5 years worth of national contribution to the Bituach Leumi, then you will be eligible for what's called kitzba zikna, a senior pension, just like Sippy and myself and Liz and every other citizen of the country who has paid national insurance is eligible for this state pension, different than Social Security from the US, for example. It has nothing to do with working. Everyone is obligated to pay. If somebody is a housewife under the age of retirement, they are covered by their spouse, by their husband. It is not converse, however, and a husband cannot be covered by his wife. Once one gets to the age of retirement, for reasons that we will not get into here, a woman is automatically considered a housewife. So yes, by default, she might not be working anymore. She's 72, and of course she's a housewife, but she will end up paying her own healthcare contribution together with her spouse if she is married. The Kitzbah Zikna, the standard senior Israeli pension, also asks about foreign income, not because they're going to take away what's due as a state pension, but rather they have the right to ask, where is your money coming from? Because we want to make sure that we are taxing you appropriately. So that means that I might be due my Israeli pension, but if I had that very nice amount in Social Security, it's not taking away from my pension, but I will no longer be charged at 112 shekel a month. I might be charged a little bit more than that. If you are still working and you think that you can hide this information from Bituach Leumi, it's not easily hidden, especially if you are working and sitting in Israel and your brain is working abroad. Please, we can't encourage you strongly enough to speak to an accountant so that you can understand best how to fill your Bituach Leumi responsibilities. Bituach Leumi is also responsible for a mobility disability. This is not the same as getting a handicap card for a car, but this is if you are unable to be mobile due to a handicap in your legs or a very bad condition of any other sorts. And what it gives you is a discount, mostly what it gives you is a discount on car purchase. One is eligible for a mobility disability up until the age of 67, men or women. The Bituach Leumi, and this is one of the resources that you are going to receive, has a wonderful counseling service for the elderly in English. And yes, it can be helpful because you might be caring for somebody and it's a little overwhelming, or you want to know about services available to you through the Bituach Leumi, or you know of another person who's elderly living alone and you're concerned for them. This is a wonderful free service that you can call. Again, that information is going to be sent to you. The Bituach Leumi is also responsible till 120 for your burial in the country. Many of you may already own a plot that you've purchased at some point. However, the Bituach Leumi will purchase your plot till 120 in the city cemetery that is the city listed on your Tudat Zehut. That means if you made Aliyah to Ra'anana, and at some point you moved to Beersheba, but you never updated your Sefach, the addendum of your Tudat Zehut, and years have gone by and you just never did that, and till 120, now it's time for that burial. It's actually going to be in Ra'anana, even though you haven't lived in Ra'anana for 20 years because you never updated your Sefach. Just as a side note, it's important to keep that addendum, that Sefach. What is that, some of you are asking? It's that little blue folded up piece of paper that you received with your Tudat Zehut. It had your name, your address, your marital status, and that is meant to be updated because it's just a piece of paper. If you're not sure how to update that, because that actually was one of the questions, that can be done at your local Misrad HaPnim without any appointment necessary. We encourage you to bring proof of your new address just because very often it's asked for, and this way you have it without having to come back. A person can update their details online on a gov.il personal portal once a year. Your year of Aliyah is considered that once. So if you made Aliyah in May 2023, and now in September 2023, you're going to be moving and you want to update, you'll have to do that in person. But as long as there's a year difference, you can do so online. Need help? You know who to call. You're going to call us at star 3680. When Bituach Leumi takes that financial responsibility for one's burial in the city cemetery, you then have, or the remaining spouse then has the opportunity to purchase the plot next door next, for their own time till 120. Or should the person decide, no, we are going to go with Bituach Leumi, and wherever I am buried in the cemetery is okay with me, then that person will also have that benefit. It's not one benefit per couple, it's per individual. What is a Ptor Mitor card? A why wait card, or an exemption from waiting card. This is a special card through Bituach Leumi for those 80 and above. Where can one not use this card? This card cannot be used for medical services to cut the line. This service cannot be used when you are in a line with a pre-scheduled appointment. That means that you had an appointment at Misrad HaKlita or Misrad HaPnim, and just because you have this card doesn't mean that you can cut the line. Where it can be used is all of these other places that you see listed here: the bank, the post office, the supermarket, public areas. And it's a wonderful card to be able to have. It's free and it can be accessed through Bituach Leumi. Now, while I keep inviting you to be in touch with us, this is a wonderful time for me to mention the role of a municipal coordinator. A municipal coordinator is somebody in many cities throughout Israel, and certainly those that have a heavy Anglo population. And this municipal coordinator works for the city and is there for up to your first 10 years of Aliyah to help you manage with whatever municipal needs that you may have. So for example, several people asked on how to access what's called a Jerusalem card. Beit Shemesh, for example, also has a city card. Ra'anana has, I believe, a city card. And what these city cards do is it allows you discounts for the residents of those cities, especially now we're coming up to summer where many, many cities have, citywide municipal-based entertainment activities. And when you are a resident of the city, then very often the entrance fee is less money, not free, but it's less. So if you're not sure where to get this Ptor Mitor card, either call us or turn to your municipal coordinator and they can be of assistance to you. Also, as I mentioned earlier, is the counseling service through the Bituach Leumi, and they can also help you. How does one access a handicap parking card? Or I'm actually going to expand on, if you have a car, how do you get a handicap parking space on your street where you are living? So to get a handicap parking card is very different than in North America. It's not a card that can just go with you wherever you go, but rather it is attached through the computer to a car registration, up to 2 cars. It may be your car and it may be the car of a family member or of a friend who's always there to drive you around. But it must be connected with a car registration, not just you, the individual. The application can be found on the Nefesh B'Nefesh website. One doesn't necessarily need recognition. I said this morning, I said, I hope all my English is going to work by the time I get to this webinar today. You don't necessarily need recognition as someone with a disability to get this handicap card, because we all know that there are many of those who need this handicap card because they have a heart condition, because they are Kanaina Hara 119 and it's getting a little bit hard to walk for whatever reason is necessary. Naturally, when one is recognized with a disability from Bituach Leumi, then yes, a handicap card can be accessed. What one does need is a strong medical letter. Notice the word strong. Strong means that Miriam Naaman, who suffers from X need, cannot walk more than 5 meters, more than whatever it may be, without getting out of breath, without this and without that. It must be a very strong letter from the specialist that is associated with your need. So if you suffer from neuropathy, then you need a letter from a neurologist, and it wouldn't hurt to also have from your primary care physician. The stronger the letter, the better it is for you. Bituach Leumi, well, a wonderful socialized foundation of the country, also holds on to services, no different than what I keep hearing about people who turn to Social Security in the United States for different needs. That Social Security also, on the one hand, is wonderful, but on the other hand, holds on tight to different services before they let it go. It should not be that hard to get a handicap parking card if one is truly eligible. And if you felt that you are eligible, or your doctor felt that you are eligible and you were denied for whatever reason, then appeal. And we will look at the doctor's letter. Perhaps we can help see why the letter wasn't strong enough. This did you know slide has to do with a lot of general resources for which you will all get that information when you receive the email with today's recording. Some that I would like to point out to you is the free counseling through the Misrad Haklita. It may be that you made Aliyah 8 months ago and things were going really great until you hit this one snag. And you don't need psychotherapy, but you have this snag and you just like to talk to somebody about it. Perhaps you're caring for someone and it's really fine. You cared for them abroad, you're caring for them now, but it's just getting too much. I just need to speak to someone. They have various professionals that man this line. The line is manned from 4 to 9 p.m. in English. And like I said, that information will come your way. But another resource to speak to are Yad Sarah, is Milabev, if you are caring for somebody. The caregiver always needs to be cared for. I'll just say that when caring for a family member. Municipal coordinators are great, and they are there to help you also through different bumps. You're having trouble registering for Ulpan. Can you please help me, Yisrael Cohen in Jerusalem, Tammy El Maliach in Beit Shemesh, Nechama in Ra'anana, Khani in Beersheba, and all of the other different coordinators that exist in the country? Yes, they can. They are there to help you on a municipal level. Did you know that Nefesh B'Nefesh offers you volunteers who can help you put utilities into your name, help you through also some of these, not so much bureaucratic, but paperwork types of needs that, yes, it's in Hebrew. One of the questions came in from one of the participants, and she asked, but what am I supposed to do? Everything is in Hebrew, and that's true. Hebrew is the language spoken in the country. Yes, in your local offices and on the street and in your social setting, English might not be an issue at all. But your letters from Bituach Leumi are coming in Hebrew, and your bills are coming in Hebrew. And while you can find on our website, on other websites, translations of different electric bills and water bills and so forth, that doesn't mean that it wouldn't be so helpful for you to sit with one of our volunteers on your bill with your translation line by line, so that you know for next time, oh, means this and this means that. Setting up a Horat Keva, automatic withdrawal, is also something that they can help with the various utilities, if that's something that you'd like. AACI is a great organization, Netanya, Jerusalem, other places throughout the country, just like ESRA, ESRA, an English-speaking social club. There are many throughout the country. Find them, or if you're not sure where they are located, ask us, ask your municipal coordinator, because creating community, no matter how long you're living here, is such an important facet towards a successful Aliyah. SHIL stands for Shirut Ye'ut LeEzrach. It is in a consumer advocacy bureau, so that somebody wrote in today to our answers email about someone who had multiple traffic tickets and they don't know what to do. And now there's going to be a block on their bank accounts, and who can help them? And SHIEL, who offers also legal advice, may be just the right free organization to assist. Shield can be found in multiple cities throughout the country. And in addition to Shield, there is the Merkaz Mitzui Zchuyot. This is a benefits, rights and benefits center that can be found in many, many cities throughout the country to clarify what your rights and benefits may be, whether that's as a senior. Am I entitled to discounts on my medication? I don't get any special senior pension. I am a Holocaust survivor. I do have some sort of chronic medical need, and I thought that I was due some sort of discount. Can you help explain to me why not? Durable power of attorney and wills. This is something often not discussed prior to Aliyah, and even something that people don't think about post Aliyah. But your will that you have, that I hope that you have from abroad, is not valid in Israel. Sure, it's valid for all of your American assets or your Canadian or British assets, but you need an Israeli will that's going to direct somebody about your bank accounts, about your home, about your assets that you have here. There is a great article on our website about durable power of attorney and wills, and I encourage you to have a look at it. Did you know that 30% of the content on the Nefesh B'Nefesh website is actually post-Aliyah specific? You may not need to have as much of a will, meaning as in-depth of a will as you have abroad, simply because the assets that you have here may be less. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have one. Things work very differently here when it comes to wills. For example, you want to make sure that you have, if you are married, that you have a Tofes Arichut Yamim signed at your bank. It's usually done automatically, and I'm assuming that most of you do. But the next time you're in the bank, you can ask, because when one spouse passes to 120, the bank account is automatically frozen, even if you've had a joint account for the past 50 years, until the will is prorated. But if you have this Tofes Arichut Yamim, then the remaining spouse does have access to the bank account. A durable power of attorney, as well as a living will, a halachic will. These are all things that you have the responsibility for yourself and for your loved ones to look into. If you are a Canadian pensioner, because that question was asked of me, we encourage you to speak to an accountant to understand more on how your pension is affected in Israel. There are certain Canadian pensions that are a certain percentage can be lost when you move residency. Just like Israel, many provinces in Canada also have a residency requirement. Social Security in Israel is able to be transferred if you'd like to have your payments transferred from the US to Israel. There are 3 different ways to go about that. All of them can be found on our website. Something to look forward to that I really hope will happen, because I've been in touch strongly with that division, with the Federal Bureau unit of the American Embassy, is that we hope to be putting together a collaborative event after the holidays in the fall for US citizens and understanding Social Security in Israel, how pensions are or are not affected, getting your Social Security monies here, and so forth. That brings me to the end of this organized presentation, and I am now happy to open up the floor to questions. I just want to see, somebody asked about passports, that they are traveling and passports are expiring. For another week, you have the opportunity to take part in the Misrad HaPnim Passport Marathon. This Passport Marathon began in May, and that means in certain hubs throughout the country, in Tel Aviv, in Bnei Brak, in Beersheba, and in Jerusalem. You can go from 7:30 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night without an appointment. Just show up and get a renewal of your passport. After the program is done, there will not be that opportunity any longer. One still is able to travel on an expired Israeli passport until the end of December 2023 or on no Israeli passport until 2023, as long as you have a valid foreign passport to leave and enter the country. Somebody asked, what is a Tudat Ma'avar? It's a term that I never heard before, and now I'm hearing a lot. Well, as many of you know, Olim of the past 2 years, maybe 3, are now receiving passports, a first-time passport that is only good for 1 year. No longer is the first passport for 5 years. And then it depends for your second passport, were you in the country 75% of your first year or not? If you were not, you will not be offered a passport, but rather you will be offered something called a Tudat Ma'avar. A Tudat Ma'avar is a travel document that is 1,000% fine for entering Israel and leaving Israel as your travel document. It is also a biometric document and good for 5 years' time, regardless of how many times you enter and exit the country. A second 5-year passport will only be issued to that individual who was 75% or more in the country within their first year. Residency is still looked at even in years 2, 3, and 4 when you have a passport. This is a gift from those Corona Olim who made Aliyah just for the sake of holding a passport. And the Ministry of the Interior said, you know, we're not friars, we're not pushovers. We are no longer just giving a 5-year passport to anybody who asks if we don't see that they have residency. Somebody asked how to get a Rav-Kav, and is a Rav-Kav necessary if I'm eligible for transportation? If I'm eligible for free transportation, because somebody who is 75 till 120 is eligible to ride all public transportation for free. However, you still must have a Rav-Kav. You can't just waltz on the bus. For someone who is a retiree, that until the age of 75, that transportation is half price, but you still need a Rav-Kav. Where can you get a Rav-Kav? There's actually 2 kinds. One is called an anonymous card, which is without your picture, and the other is with your picture. There are Rav-Kav stations throughout the country in multiple places. All you need to do is put into Google in English Rav-Kav station and it will come up. Many people say, I've never Googled as much as I have since making Aliyah, and that's true. You are seekers of information. And we now have this extra brain, which is called Google. And Google gives us all of the information that we need all the time. I'm going to go to the chat. Let's see what other questions people asked. How to update a bank, how to update a Horat Keva with bank or credit card information. Let's say you did that utility with your credit card, with perhaps even a foreign credit card if you were able to, and now the credit card is expired. Yes, of course, you need to let that agency know, whether it's Bituach Leumi, whether it's your Kupat Cholim. Kupat Cholim doesn't know that it just expired. They may think that you've stopped paying. You're not interested in that supplemental care anymore. And this could cause you to be in a little bit of hot water, and that's not what you want to be. So yes, it is your responsibility to make sure that the agencies and offices in your life stay updated with what's going on in your life. The specific
Miriam, I'm sorry. I just want to remind everyone that all of the resources that Miriam is mentioning here are located in the chat as links, and you can save the chat at the end by looking at the very bottom. There's 3 dots, but if you'd like to see, for example, how you obtain the Rav Kav Zahav and all of those things, please feel free to see the links in the chat.
I would.
Okay,
Thank
but
you.
also they're all being sent.
They're all
in
being
the
sent.
email so that
But if
people
for
didn't
quick
need to-
reference though, yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, somebody asked about the marathon. The marathon is in the downtown address of Jerusalem, Shlom Tzion HaMalka number 1, is in Tel Aviv at Menachem Begin 125. I apologize. I don't know the address in Bnei Brak and I don't know the address in Be'er Sheva, but it is the main address in Be'er Sheva and in Bnei Brak. If you live in any of those two regions, remember you can go to any Misrad Panim in the country. It doesn't
In
have to be in
Haifa.
your region. Also in Haifa. Excellent. If you're not able to find that information, ask us and we're happy to tell you.
I just want to add, if I can
yes.
add one more thing about the Passport Marathon, since it's from 7:30 until 10, I think they're letting people in through 9 and continue to 10. And this is basically the last week. You don't need to be there at 6 o'clock. You don't need to stand in line. We have seen, who knows, because it's the last week and things might, be switched up a little bit. But what most of the branches are showing that there's not any lines mid-morning to early afternoon. So if you're available, that's what we suggest you go. Can't promise you, again, it's the last week and there might be a crush again, but that's what we've been seeing, that if you want to do it, go anytime, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, when people are still at work, when kids are still at school, and hopefully you won't have too long of a line.
Excellent, thank you. Lila asks, what is, did that get answered? I guess that got answered, never mind. No, here we go. About, there was something about banking. Here, what is the procedure for letting the bank in advance of a large amount of money to be wired to your Israeli account? This is an excellent question, although this is not a financial specific webinar, of which there are. So transferring large amounts of money is actually a process here in Israel. It's not a one-day happening. First and foremost, the Israeli bank will want to know that your money is kosher. Money laundering was a big issue many, many years ago, and since then remains a very tightly wound process. It requires sometimes a letter from a lawyer or an accountant attesting to the fact that that money is in fact yours. And it can take time because information here in Israel will be sent back to the States and sent back to Israel and vice versa. You may want to discuss with your bank. You may want to discuss with a reputable money transaction company, such as a Desco if it's more than $10,000, such as Isra Transfer if it's they also do large amounts of money, but they also do smaller amounts of money, $5,000, $6,000, and so forth. But it is a process. Now, your bank abroad also may require some sort of communication with you, and sometimes a phone or a Zoom or an email might be enough, but sometimes not. I know in some states and some banks, they will require to see you in person for signing the appropriate paperwork, enabling for this large sum of money to be transferred. I hope that gave you the beginning towards solving that issue. Marathon passports for the first time also, yes, as long as there is no change to the information on your 2.zehut. It must be without any changes. They're not doing any work while you're going through this marathon. This marathon, excuse me, is specifically to just compute.
Don't go to the Tel Aviv office. They're not doing it though.
What?
The 2.zehut.
I didn't say 2.zehut. We're talking about passports.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I wanted to add something after. I apologize. That there's been some confusion. Some people have been going for their 2.zehut as well, and we suggest you refrain from doing so.
Lila, perhaps I'll call you specifically, okay? We have a nice relationship anyway, and I'm going to discuss your issue more personally. Any other questions that were not yet answered? I appreciate that at least I didn't see 20, 30, 40, 50 questions coming into the chat, but rather people did take the time to focus and listen. This, like I said, will be sent to you. I hope that you'll be able to receive it by Sunday. Today's Wednesday, and the individuals responsible for making it nice and neat for you will only get to this tomorrow. But like I said, links, charts, any external information that was discussed, you will receive. And like I said, we're always as available as we can be. If you already have a senior card, you still need to download the app. No, you don't. For a long time, senior cards were mailed to an individual, and that was great. You stuck it in your wallet, and that was the end of that. And then at some point, the senior cards were taking a very long time to receive, months. And then at some point, it wasn't even working. And I guess, I don't know, that's when they decided to make it digital. And for some people, digital is great. And for other people, digital is less great. But we're here to help as much as we can. Thank you so very much for joining us today. It was great to see some of your names. It's for me, it's like reconnecting with old friends. And we're here, you know, if you are in Jerusalem, we're always happy to sit and have a cup of coffee and hear what your questions are. If you can, we would love to be able to sort of mark that in our calendars. But if you happen to, like Tippy, went to the movies in Cinema City for 10 shekel, and after you've seen that film and you just want to pop in, please do so. If you're in Tel Aviv, we have our Tel Aviv hub, and happy to see you there too. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and Chodesh Tov. Yesterday was Rosh Chodesh, and happy summer. Kol Tov. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Miriam.